Big trade on the weekend. Did you react to it first as a hockey fan or as a head coach in the Eastern Conference?
A little bit of both, to be honest. You hear the buzz. I think everyone in the hockey world gets a little bit excited when big trades happen. It's only normal, only human. But then you start thinking about how it helps a team that you're playing against. So, or maybe it doesn't help, and you're not sure. So, yeah, big trade for sure. Interesting one. Both teams probably feel like it was a move they had to make.
So Saturday night, I'm sitting there watching a few games, and then I see right in front of my eyes Ryan Reeves and Brady Tkachuk. And I'm thinking, well, that's a heck of a trade-off for the Maple Leafs. How do you convince Brady that you want him to do, you know what he should do and he can do, but how do you convince him that's not a good trade-off?
Yeah, it's tricky.
Because you don't want him to change, do you?
No, I definitely don't. And I think he's maturing, uh, you know, day to day, month to month. And I think he understands that too, that that's not a good trade-off for us. Not that, Ryan Reeves is very effective in his game as well, but Brady's one of our, not only is our captain, but he's one of our best players and brings an element to our team that is very hard to find. But that's not the first time that that's happened or the last. He also brings upon himself a physicality to the game that there are other players on other teams that are going to try to get in his face as well. And he understands that. And I've said it publicly, I'm not going to try to change the player he is, the passion that he plays with, the physicality that he plays with. And quite frankly, I don't want to. I like it. Um, Now, there are certain moments where you don't want him to get tangled up in certain plays and be off the ice for a while, but he'll figure that out as he goes, and he is. I think he's doing a good job of figuring it out.
You played with his old man.
Yep.
Is there a comparison to be made?
Oh yeah. No, I've known Walt a long time, and he's a friend of mine. And I for the first probably 2 months, every time I heard Brady yell on the bench, I had flashbacks of that Walt was sitting next to me because he sounds exactly like him when he yells. And so I would giggle inside my head a little bit just whenever he would yell on the bench. But both his boys are they got a lot of Walt in them. They they understand the game. They're very smart. They're passionate. They're skilled. They're tough. Uh, and it's not surprising. I grew up with, or I didn't grow up, but I remember Brady and Matthew running around the locker room when we played together, and they were hockey players from a young age, and both of them were very good one, and they got a sister that's extremely talented as well.
I love the way he broke out of the slump yesterday by just going to the net and
Yeah,
shoveling one in.
yeah, and you know that's his game, scoring around the net.
Mhm.
Uh, and I was asked it a lot, like, am I concerned about it? I'm really not. Like, I bet in the nine whatever games it was, he probably had 60 shots or 55 shots, and uh, he probably had another 55 hits, and he brings a lot to the table even when he's not scoring. Uh, and you just know eventually he's going to get back on track. He's too good a player.
How did you handle those dips as a player? Would you change things at all? Would you get
Well, I
inside your
wasn't
head?
good enough that I knew I would get one eventually. Sometimes I wondered if this was the end of the road for me. So when I got into a big slump, I got a little worried. Some guys can get worried, some guys should get worried, and some guys shouldn't. And I was one of the ones that should get worried. So, I think for me earlier in my career it affected me a lot different when I was trying to be a 20, 25 goal scorer. I worried about it a lot more. When I finally realized that I'm a much better hockey player when I'm just being a 10 goal scorer to 15 goal scorer and doing a lot of other things that helps the team win. Uh, Not only did I find I didn't get into those slumps as much, but I didn't put the pressure on myself to score. All I cared about was winning. My second half of the year, and that was the player that I liked a lot more than the one at my beginning.
Hey, a 25 goal scorer in the NHL in this season, Travis, you're putting a lot of money in your pocket.
Yeah, a little more than I did back then.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You talked about, knowing the core and finding out what the core was like over the summer as you were trying to figure out what to do. Is there one or two of those guys in the core that you go, holy smokes, I didn't know he was this good?
I think until you really skate with a guy and get on the ice with him, you don't really know. And I probably could say that a little bit about all of them. Um, we nitpick a little bit as coaches.
A little bit,
That's
a little
yeah,
bit.
but I think, something I've tried to change, I guess, over time is, find the positives in a player and not the negatives, because I think that can happen. And really, I mean, each guy has surprised me in certain areas. You talk about Thomas Chabot, there's been a lot of talk about him not being a great defending defenseman, for example. And he's really buckled down and taken pride in doing it and has become like a really good defenseman now. And I think when you first think about it and you watch a player from afar, you wonder, is this guy care? Does he care? Does he just want to play loosey-goosey hockey? And then when you get to know a guy and meet a guy and talk about improvements and then to see him do it, it gives you a new admiration for players. And I could probably say that about all our guys that I didn't really know.
Goaltending. Has Linus made his full impact yet, or are you, because of the injury, still waiting for that to come to
Yeah, I don't
fruition?
even think he's scratched the surface where I hope we can get to with him. He came out training camp. I honestly don't think I've seen a goalie that I was more impressed with in training camp. Just
Wow.
uh, watching him stop the puck from day to day. Then we played the Panthers first game of the year, and he was outstanding. And then when we went to Montreal, he got hurt and was out for probably, I don't know how long it was. It felt like a long time. It was probably 6 to 10 games. Um, Took a little bit of time to get his timing back once he came back from the injury. I didn't think he was quite as dialed in, and I think he'd agree with that. And I don't think our team was playing as good either, which is, not a good combo. And then when he found his game, you know, he had a stretch of games there where he was amazing. And I feel like we've had him for probably 12 games of that stretch, 15 games, you know, and that's total where he's been on the team and in form, I guess. And just seeing when you have that kind of goaltending, not only what it does during the game and that, but what the confidence that it gives your team. And when he got hurt again in Edmonton, it took our goalies a little while to kind of find their groove again, I think, because there's different pressure when your starter goes down. Uh, and I think that can affect the goalie. But since then, probably since those 6 games after Edmonton, our goalies have played really well and stepped in with Levy and Forsey
Mhm.
playing very solid. So hopefully Linus is back here soon. He's a great goalie, and I think ultimately you need great goaltending to win.